The following is a special presentation of TNN Sports. These are the men who have claimed victory during the 2001 ASA AC-Delco Racing Series Championship. 6 event winners who have a title on their mind, each of whom understands that others as well wish to gain admittance into their exclusive club. First in line to offer his initiation fee must surely be Scott Hansen. It's been nearly a year since he led an ASA field to a checkered flag. Next would be Robbie Pyle, a 4-time champion of the ARCA Pro Board. We've been waiting for Pyle to strike all season long. Talk about knowing how to get around a racetrack. Mike Miller is an accomplished veteran whose 2001 first checker could be just around turn 4. And Mike Cope, an ASA rookie, has been a frequent champion in all-pro and late model campaigns and is certainly ready for the mantle of victory once again. So, Messrs. Sauter, St. Amant, Darby, Plant, Miller, and Sawinski, take a close look around. You may be the only ones who have, to date, celebrated in Victory Lane, but don't assume that cannot change. There are many out there who want a share of those spoils, and hungry hunters are, after all, the most dangerous.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 4th annual Tecumseh 300. It's for our employees, our customers, and our industry partners that I say, gentlemen, start your vortex engines!
Welcome to the high banks of Salem, Indiana. I'm Chris McClure, along with Buddy Baker. It's round 13 of 20 in the 2001 ASA AC-Delco Racing Series. They say if a man can go fast at Salem, he can go fast anywhere. And some of the men who have, named Boyd and Waltrip, Allison and Martin, Gordon and McCluskey, Stewart, Eddie, Hampson, Seneca, Miller, and Sauter, they've all solved the riddle. It was opened in 1947. It's a half-mile around, featuring 33-degree banking at both ends of the racetrack. It is a severe test of a man's racing acumen, and 31 set still on the front straightaway, waiting to move out and accept the green flag. It'll be Butch Miller on the pole, his 6th pole of the year, with Tim Taylor on the outside, then Joey Clanton and Brian Ross. And Buddy, you have an eye on Brian Ross.
A lot of people have an eye on Brian Ross. He is a short track legend here in Indiana. 2000 Rookie of the Year in ARCA. Let me tell you, the best drivers are watching his line around this racetrack.
Coming from 13th position is Johnny Sauter, well back in the pack as they begin to roll away. The green flag is just around the corner. The Louisville skyline, 30 miles south of legendary Salem, Indiana. Stay there. Coverage of the 2001 ASA AC-Delco Racing Series Championship is being brought to you by B.F. Goodrich Tires. Take control. The Tecumseh 300 again this year coincides with the International Lawn, Garden, and Outdoor Power Equipment Exposition that's underway in Louisville, Kentucky, 30 miles south of here. On display, a host of products that use Tecumseh engines. As you might notice from these examples, if there's a job to do, it's likely a Tecumseh engine can help you do it just right. This is round 13 of the 2001 season. Johnny Sauter is leading the points, but anybody in the top 5 could conceivably leave Salem with the lead. So it is very, very tight as we hit stride in midsummer. No question it is going to be one that goes to the wire before this year is concluded. Sauter up on Butch Miller by 24 coming into the event. There you see number 9 as they warm up the systems. Meantime, let's take a moment for this evening's B.F. Goodrich Tires Point of View.
The racetrack here at Salem, one of the quickest half-mile racetracks in the United States. Why? 33 degrees of banking in both corners. Let me tell you, 1 and 2, not a problem. You run right around the middle part of the racetrack. Turns 3 and 4, a big problem. 130 miles an hour as you enter the corner, you sweep down to the bottom and then right up to the outside wall. Only room for 1 car on the preferred line. The lower car sweeps up into the car on the outside. That can be the end of the day for you if the outside car does not give way. Bob Dillner?
buddy, two guys who aren't giving way to each other, Johnny Sauter and Joey Clanton. They have quite a rivalry brewing here in ASA. Remember last week, they hit each other on the track what seemed like 100 times. If they do that at this tough track, as Buddy said, there is going to be trouble. Sandy Hank?
And Bob, the high banks here at Salem are brutal on the right side. So for this race, GF Goodrich is using a harder compound. And they're also using Kevlar on the right side. It wraps around the tringle or the bead like a piece of paper. It's about the thickness of a quarter, but it is strong enough to stop a speeding bullet, like in a police officer's vest. But even with the best technology in the world, it's not going to work if you don't use the recommended pressure. Let's toss it over to Chris.
Thanks, Andy. Let's see what we got here. Indiana, how about that? I didn't have one of those. You know, those guys we met a moment ago that want to record their first victory 2001? Well, this fellow's a primary candidate, if you ask me. 9 times Scott Hansen has been to Salem. He's won 4. He's put it in the top 5 6 times. Those are very nice percentages, if you ask me. And that's this evening's PFG POV. Continuing to warm up, let's take a look at the rookie points. Johnny Sauter is the overall points leader. Thus, he, as a rookie, leads that race as well. But Mike Cope, we note, was fastest in happy hour. Keep an eye on him. He could make a move on Sauter before too long. Front row, Tim Taylor, the ambulance driver, and Brian Ross from Plymouth, Indiana, in row number 2. Those are a couple of fellows who really turned some heads after qualifying late yesterday afternoon. Here's Sandy Hank.
We haven't seen this yellow and purple paint scheme on the starting grid this year. In fact, we haven't seen these two unusual faces in the top 5, Tim Taylor and Brian Ross. Tim Taylor, what's your story? Why are you so fast here?
Well, I think I've just had a lot more laps here than a lot of these guys have, and we're just used to it.
Okay, Brian Ross, what's your story?
Run a lot of late model races here over the years, and you got to be able to get around this place as a race car driver as well as have a good race car. So I'm looking forward to today's race.
Well, read between the lines. Lots of experience with these two.
Meantime, one quick report from the pits. Here's Bob Dillner before we get this underway. Bobby?
Well, Chris, if you're wondering why Butch Miller is on the outside pole right now, that's because the outside is the fast way around this racetrack. And as the fast qualifier, he has the choice to go into the outside. He put a little sign in Tim Taylor's car earlier today, and it said, "No, you can't start on the outside. Sorry, Tim."
Sometimes that works. I'm not in favor of swapping around like that. He's working on getting into turn 3 on the high side because that's very quick up there. But if Tim Taylor gets a great start and runs side by side through 1 and 2, it could be a problem for Butch.
1 lap to go, says the flagman Tom Powell. They'll swing down the front straightaway one more time and line them up. Butch Miller is on the point, and he is on the high side of the racetrack at the moment as we go on board with the pace truck through turns 1 and 2. Look at that banking. Let's go back to Sandy Hank.
Well, pit stops are going to be very interesting tonight. The drivers are unsure how many laps they'll be going on these tires. Look for a window maybe as early as 30 laps, maybe as late as 75 laps. Pit lane is shaped like a giant shepherd's hook. There's advantages to being at the beginning and at the end.
On the straightaway, they look for the green flag. Mr. Powell says, yes, you may, and off they go. And we'll see if the switch by Butch Miller pays off as they storm into turn number 1. So far, buddy, good clean start.
Yeah, he got a great run there, Butch Miller did. He's losing his second spot there. You see Tim Taylor dropping back. Brian Ross moves all the way up to second spot in the 84 car.
And they single out as they come around to complete lap number 1. Brian Ross in Robbie Steakhouse sponsorship is just behind the Meyer Chevrolet of Butch Miller, who won the last time out a week ago at Berlin, Michigan. He is looking for his second victory of this year. And so far, coming up to the end of lap number 2, good clean run with Miller, Ross, Taylor, and Quentin. The top 4 with Hansen, last year's winner, in the 5th spot. So the gamble paid off, at least in the early going, buddy, for Butch Miller.
Well, it did, and right now everybody's just single file. Brian Ross got very high there. The back of the car stepped out. You see Joey Clanton now making a move on Tim Taylor to take over 3rd.
Plant down to the inside, and that's not the preferred line. Well, at the other end, he wants to be much higher. Now watch Plant go in here, buddy, and I think no matter where you go in, he's going to go straight up to the wall.
He's going to go right up against the wall, very similar to Darlington, South Carolina. How you go into turn 3 and then sweep right up to the wall, stay high, get a good run down the front straightaway.
So Plant picks up 3rd position, shuffles Taylor back into the fourth spot. Hansen continues to run, and here comes Clanton going against Ross. He wants second place, and it looks like he's going to get it. Drove right by him.
They run this car 2 times a year, Joey Clanton's car. That 83, the yellow and blue car there, they run it twice a year. They run it here in Winchester. That's the only time they run this car all year long.
Well, he had a little bit of a mad on leaving Michigan last weekend. He and Sauter getting together, as Bob Dillner pointed out a few moments ago. And he came here with a little chip on his shoulder, I think, ready to do some damage to the standings to get his third victory of the year if he can.
Well, these racetracks that are banked like this, if you're ever going to tear anything up or pull something loose on a race car, it's a racetrack like this. Tremendous amount of downforce in the corner. You can see the sparks flying there as Robbie Pyle's car is bottoming out just a little bit, getting in the corner.
We're watching the battle for 6th place. Robbie Pyle in the Sitco Chevrolet just in front of Mike Garvey. At issue is 6th position as they go side by side onto the straightaway. Garvey unable to really come to terms with it as he tucks in behind, coming up in front of the grandstand. I don't know if you can go down low and effect a pass in 3 and 4 at all.
Well, these sparks will go away on Robbie Pyle's car after the weight load gets a little bit lighter from the fuel loads they start out with. Some of the cars that are throwing sparks down won't be doing that in a few laps.
Pyle is 6th in the race. Garvey is in 7th position. Gary St. Amant is behind Garvey in the 8th spot. Then Kevin Sawinski and Mr. Cope in 10th spot. And we said, buddy, keep an eye on him. He was fastest in happy hour late yesterday. Loved his race car the longer he went with it.
Well, Mike Cope is like a pit bull anyhow. Oh, we have trouble here. That is Price in the number 40 car up against the inside wall.
And the first yellow of the evening is displayed by Tom Powell on the front straightaway. Travis Price there sitting quietly. Did he drop the net there, or has he still got power? He's okay, it would appear, and just nose into the Armco right now, and apparently trying to find a space to back out and rejoin everybody. He's right in the middle of turn number 2.
I'd say his horseshoe didn't work. What do you think?
So Travis Price brings out the first yellow of the evening, and we'll slow them all down. We've worked 11 laps. Butch Miller is on the point. Then Clanton, Ross, Taylor, Hansen, Pyle, and that man, Mike Garvey, running in the 7th position in the Tecumseh Chevrolet. And there's Robbie Pyle in number 63. He is in the 6th position in the races we mentioned a moment ago. Every driver worth his salt these days does have a training regimen, but that man, Robbie Pyle, has a little bit of a variation. That's the subject of our ASA Snapshot.
The last couple of years I've gotten into training. Part of my workout, it gets quite boring, and boxing keeps you interested. My trainer, Doug Owens, he's got me in the gym boxing. I really have been a big fan of boxing, just never had a reason to do it. I remember the first time I sparred, at the end of the 3rd round, I felt like falling over and crying, and it wasn't from getting hit, it was just I was so tired, and mentally you have to think or you're going to get hit. It teaches you how to maintain yourself under extreme conditions. It does bring some aggression out in me, and some of the aggression you really need to drive. But you got to keep control of that also, because in the ring, if you get your mind too gone, then you end up getting hurt. So same thing will happen in a race car.
Well, buddy, that's pretty good training.
That's interesting, because I used to do the same thing. Humpy Wheeler, that's now the president of Charlotte Motor Speedway, and I used to box quite a bit before a major event.
We're under yellow at Salem. Miller is on the point, followed by Clanton, Ross, Taylor, and Hansen. It's the Tecumseh 300, and we've got a lot more to go, so stay right there. Welcome back to Salem. We've just gone back to the green. Look at the battle for second, Buddy Baker. And I think Mr. Ross bumped Mr. Clanton. Did you think so?
Absolutely. Coming off turn 2 over there, Clanton checked up a little bit. Brian Ross was all over the trunk lid of his car, almost a wreck, going down the back straightaway on the restart. Clanton not right up to speed. He seems to run better after the tires get clean and after 4 or 5 laps into the race. Greg Stewart in trouble now.
Greg Stewart, and it looks as though he's got the left rear has gone away. I don't know if he got touched or hit something or just flat came down on this pavement. It's a rough bit of pavement here at Salem. And again, the yellow flag comes out after only 2 laps, having gone back to the green. I don't know if he can drive that thing back around the way it's acting.
Well, he can, but what he was doing was trying to get back in pretty quick. Now he's back underway here. He's got the rubber off the rim itself, and he can drive it pretty easily now. It was just wadded up on the rim itself, and that's why he spun around.
Greg Stewart in the GMH Electrical Pontiac with auxiliary sponsorship through Tecumseh from Manco. Every car in the field has an auxiliary sponsor from Tecumseh in one way or another. A unique concept. Pretty cool.
Absolutely. It's assisted every car in the field, as a matter of fact. Just a little bit of sponsorship, a little bit of help.
So Mike Miller is out there as well with CSC sponsorship. Let's check in with him. Sandy Heng talked to him about this track earlier.
When you take a close look at this track, you see it's potholed and pockmarked, just full of patches. You think the drivers would hate that, but some drivers like Mike Miller say it's actually a good thing. Why, Mike?
Well, if we repaved the old gal, it would be really, really wickedly fast. It's pretty darn fast the way it is right now. And I think that if it was repaved, we probably wouldn't be able to do any passing at all.
Well, read between the lines. We should see some passing tonight.
So Mike Miller running currently in the 14th position. He started 11th, so he's lost a little ground since the get-go.
Yeah, I think he's still working on the car, trying to get that perfect setup. He's a 16-time winner, though, in ASA.
One lap to go, says Tom Powell on the flag stand, and we'll get back to green. We're working leader lap number 24. Butch Miller on the pole, trying to do a double, has been the leader since the beginning, and you can see that the quick work is done by Greg Stewart's crew, and he has gotten back out. This is what was going on earlier, though.
You can see the tire kind of balling up under the wheel there, and he was trying to get to the pits in a hurry, and you watch him when he accelerates there, and it just turned around on him.
As we get set to go back green, let's go to Bob Dillner.
I'm down here with crew chief Alan Massagill. Alan, what happened with Greg there as we go green?
I think debris or something. I don't know. We had a flat tire. I got the guys looking at it now. I don't know. Tough race this Vortex tire Pontiac. We thought we had a good shot tonight.
The crew brought him in. They got the car back out there, but also with the help from the Meyer Chevrolet team of Butch Miller.
Boy, I tell you what, these first four cars, Chris, are really dialed in. They're able to pull away just a little bit on the fifth-place car. These first four are just glued together around this racetrack.
And a good start, really, for the fellows that we said turned some heads. Number 28, Tim Taylor, who was on the front row, now runs in fourth, and the 84 of Brian Ross and Robbie Steakhouse sponsorship for him. They're sticking right with the regular guns, if you will.
Now, you watch the second-place car there, Joey Clanton, the yellow car you see just behind Butch Miller, our leader. After about 4 or 5 laps, that car is killer. It goes around the corner about as fast as anything I've ever watched get around Salem.
Working leader lap number 28 of 300. The last lap speed for Miller as he pulls down to the inside, and Clanton storms on through, and it looks like Ross has an idea. He's going to get through as well. We're on board with Butch Miller in second place now.
I think Butch Miller just decided he might be holding up the 83 of Clanton because he closed in on him right up on his back bumper just for a second. Now they're all back up to full speed again.
You might say, well, there's some sparks as he bottoms going into the corner, but again, they're carrying a relatively heavy fuel load at the moment. Bob Dillner.
We're down here with crew chief for Butch Miller, Chip Caputo. What happened there? The 52 looked like he just pulled over.
Yeah, we just let him go right now. Right now, the Meyer Red Bull Chevrolet's running pretty good. We're just letting them go and riding around.
Butch Miller, a veteran driver, knows how to get around this racetrack. Very, very patient right now, Buddy Baker.
And he knows how to get out of the way there and ride this racetrack out. Really evaluate the race car, but he knows how to win, too. Sometimes it's not smart to be the rabbit.
So Butch Miller, we look at him at work in his office, and then look back at the racetrack, and Joey Clanton in first, and Miller, Ross, and Taylor, and Hanson. So the top 5 remain stable except for the swap at the front, and they're starting to pick up a little bit of traffic. That is the Vortec experimental car that just went by on the low side, and they just cleared somebody else. Didn't catch who it was. I think it might have been Mark Cole.
And you see Clanton there leading pretty easily right now, but Butch Miller in second. Every time they pull over to let Clanton by the leader, they pull over and they see Butch Miller in the mirror. He can run much easier in second than the leader can.
Pretty good fight going on for second place right here. Ross is kind of climbing all over the back of Butch Miller. I don't know what Butch had in mind. They let him go. I suppose they might have said to themselves, go ahead and burn your tires off if you want.
And that number 5 there, Scott Hansen, last year's winner here, picking up the pace a little bit. He's actually catching the first 4 cars.
Lapping at about 108 miles an hour. Pretty good speed compared to the qualifying at 123 the relative arenas they were working in. And again, these cars are heavier because they have more fuel. Everybody moving by Francesco Gadesi, number 29, who was a day late and got onto the back of the field with some practice this morning with no qualifying time. But he's a soldier. He keeps coming back.
Brand new car, brand new paint job. Hey, he needed it after last week.
More about that coming up in a little while. This is the 7th place car, Mike Garvey. We ride with him. He's still working on Robbie Pyle and still trying to find a way around. It is difficult to find a way around here once everybody gets heating the tires and gets up to full song. They move by the 29 of Gadesi, but you can see the lead pack has really disappeared from them.
Yeah, they're up there just now going into turn 3 there, but you can see in the middle part of the corner there, Garvey closes in. Gary St. Amant just behind him, Kevin Sawinski, and then Mike Coates.
Number 21, Kevin Sawinski in the Texas Roadhouse Chevrolet with DeVilbiss on board. DeVilbiss, that is the auxiliary sponsor. And Gary St. Amant, the Win Chevrolet. They've locked horns before, and just behind them in the 25 car, Mike Coates. He remains running in 10th.
And that yellow car, you can see sticking his nose out there. That's none other than Mike Eddy, the 7-time national champion. So he's in the fight, too, here.
So everybody fairly close as you look up and down the field, fairly close to where they started. At the front, it's changed as Clanton has picked up a couple of spots and now leads the event, working on leader lap number 40. But nobody else in the field really has moved more than a space or two either direction.
I think what they're doing right now is just really evaluating how the car is handling and talking to the crew chief. And it is a very long race, very taxing on the driver and the car. So what they're doing right now is probably talking about what we can do on the first pit stop to make the cars better.
Well, we should mention, I suppose, at this point, that it is 300 laps, and it has been brutally hot with huge humidity readings here in southern Indiana over the last 3 days. It has been tough on drivers and crews, and when they got started yesterday for the first couple of practices, many of them couldn't go more than 10 laps before they got all the airflow issues figured out with the car to try and help out the cars and the drivers. Clanton is our leader with Miller, Ross, Taylor, and Hansen rounding out the top 5. It's the Tecumseh 300. Stay right there. We'll be back. When we left, this man was in second. Since we left, he went to the lead. And then something went wrong, we believe, in the engine compartment, and Butch Miller is slow on pit road. What a turn of events, Buddy Baker.
Yeah, we heard a pop up here. I have no idea. Bob Dillon will probably tell us what's wrong, though. Bob?
Well, you guys are exactly right. It is in the engine department as he is going to get pushed down pit road. Lots of crews helping him out. The Zaxby Chevrolet crew, Alan Massagill and the Greg Stewart crew pushing the 52 down pit road. Oh, so devastating for this team. They were looking for a great run after their pole-sitting experience. They think they lost a cylinder. They're going to check things out right now, but definitely something amiss in the engine department for Butch Miller. You can see Chip Caputo under the hood. That's the crew chief. They're checking things out right now, taking a look at the spark plug wires and all sorts of stuff on this Vortex-powered engine. But trouble for Butch Miller, agonizing inside that race car right now.
Well, the wind is definitely gone now. Brian Ross, though, our leader, is checking out right now. Joey Clanton's in second. Look at Butch Miller's eyes. You can tell, hey, he's second to point. He's losing a lot of money sitting there right now.
Up till a couple of races ago, he was in the lead in the points. He had finished every lap in the season. Consistency was the name of the game. Let's take a look at it. He had gone to the lead. Off turn 4 onto the front straightaway. He hauls it down off the wall. That's where it went, buddy.
You could see the spark where it coming off the corner there. Right there, power went away. He pulls to the inside, gets out of everybody's way, but you can see completely coasting as he comes in.
And just a couple of laps before that, he had simply stormed past Joey Clanton into the lead, and Ross had gone with him. But now, there you see the leader, Ross, and we're still under green. They're at speed. Then Joey Clanton, then Taylor. Hansen shuffles up to 4th, Pyle to 5th, and so on down the list. Garvey, Eddie, he's made a move in the last few minutes. The old polar bear in number 11, up to 7th.
I'm watching all these cars, the first 4 cars. You can see Clanton's car there climbing that hill, not turning the way he wants it to in second place. Brian Ross, the first start in ASA in the year 2001, leading this race. That's pretty impressive for a new team. And they borrowed this car, from what I understand, And I'll tell you, they're doing a great job.
They are, but Clanton's now climbed back all over him. It looked as though when Miller went by Clanton, he may have gotten on the throttle, picked up the throttle late off turn 2, because they just ripped by him, and then he got settled back into the pace.
Well, sometimes you just have to do that, and when you change the aero on these cars, you're running 130 miles an hour here. Maybe that car runs better just behind until they can adjust on it and make it a little bit better where it turns better.
So he's running in second place and may be more comfortable there. He's behind Ross by a couple of car lengths now as they continue to pick up traffic. That's a continuing saga here, especially long runs of green, which we have had. John Webb, number 89 from Oklahoma City. They just moved through him. They're coming up on the 40 car of Travis Price once again. He's now already several laps back, and there you see him, Brian Ross, in the Roby Steakhouse Pontiac, setting the pace here. And a lot of people said, watch him. He could be strong this weekend, but I don't know what they had this in mind in particular. Mike Miller against Mike Cope right there.
Yeah, and Mike Miller's car handling a little bit better than Mike Cope's car is at the moment, just in front of them, Gary St. Amant. But I noticed the 25 car there stepping out just a little bit in the center corner as Mike Miller powers up the side of him going down toward turn 1.
That's for 9th place. Cope had it. Miller now has it as they move down into the 3rd corner on this racetrack. The leaders are already down at the other end. Gary St. Amant is just up the track running in 8th in the number 7 Wins car.
You know, one thing we hadn't brought up is they didn't have a real test program at night, so a lot of the cars that were real good in sunshine yesterday are not that good in the dark and the cool conditions that's going on out there.
This is the first time this weekend they have run in the dark with the sun down. We're looking at Johnny Sauter, who is just in front of Sawinski, and there's Cope as well. Let's go to Sandy Hank.
I'm with Mike Chaffee, the crew chief for Kevin Sawinski. The car seems to be moving all over the place.
Yeah, he's radioed in and said that cars just sliding all over the racetrack, getting into the corner, so we probably hurt the right rear tire, so doing a great job hanging on to it, and we'll try to get ourselves a caution here pretty soon.
What's your estimate on tire wear? How many laps?
We were hurting them in like 40 laps yesterday, so we're probably way out of our window already.
Okay, that's Kevin Sawinski's crew chief, Mike Chaffee, looking for a caution.
You know, Chris, he was talking about hurting the tire. We saw a little bit of chipping on the outside corners of all these tires, just at the right-hand side on the right side tires. And apparently a lot of people are laying back right now trying not to hurt the tires so they'll go longer.
Well, the lap speeds have dropped considerably since the adrenaline rush at the beginning. Ross on the point is handling the lead pretty easily at 106 miles an hour. And even with a lighter fuel load, that's down 4 miles an hour since the beginning of the run. Some of that is tire wear would have happened anyway. Maybe they're being conservative as well.
Well, in the sunshine yesterday, and it should have been slower, they were running 110 miles an hour. Here's Butch Miller back in the fray.
Butch Miller, but well down in 29th position, and he is 18 laps off the lead now. He's not going to win, but he could score a few points, and those are going to be precious to him before this season is done. So he will drive until he cannot drive anymore.
Well, one thing we know for sure, it wasn't a cylinder because he's back up to full song. It must have been a plug wire or something in that nature that put him out.
Mike Garvey, we ride with him. He's in 7th, looking up the track, and Eddie just ahead. Mike Garvey in the number 1 machine in 8th position. Now, Miller just did get through him into the next spot into 7th. Mike Miller on the move.
Butch Miller, much slow. He's coasting again back towards the pits. Whatever it is, looks like it's going to be terminal for Butch Miller. He is coasting down the back straightaway.
So at the front, we have Ross, Plant, Taylor, Hansen, and Pyle, the top 5. Mike Eddy is picking up more space. He's up to 6th, and Mike Miller is up to the 7th position. Those two war horses are on the move. Let's go to Bob Dillner.
I'm standing by with Robert Hamke. The car that Brian Ross is running is actually Robert Hamke's. He's serving as the crew chief. Brian, it's a long way to go for him, but can he win this race, Robert?
Well, too early to really tell, but we didn't come here to run second. You know, we just come here, we're trying to make laps right now. Car ain't exactly right. We got to try to make adjustment on the next pit stop.
Robert is one to always say it like it is, buddy.
If that's not right, I hate to see it when it does get tuned up. I tell you, Brian Ross right now, he is really on the move. There's something about flames on a race car. I don't know what it is. Jeff Gordon has it on his car, and we're watching Brian Ross put on a clinic right now of how to get around this racetrack.
As they pick up a little more traffic, the front three, Ross, Clanton, and Taylor, have strung out just a little bit. A little space between them. Davin Seitz is just in front of Ross right now in the 06 car. You see him there, and also Johnny Spa. So dealing with traffic is key everywhere, and certainly key in this event. Let's see if we oh boy, they nearly touched as they came down onto the straightaway. That's really dicey stuff he has to do.
Well, you can see right there the preferred line is right in the center part of the racetrack. Johnny Spa in the 38 just in front of Brian Ross there. You really can't just pull out and pass cars at will. They have to give you a little bit of a break, and apparently Johnny Spa does not see him yet.
Well, Johnny Spa is running in 17th, but you know, he's on the lead lap. I mean, he's trying to stay on the lead lap, and I guess you can't argue with that, but Ross got him anyway. So Ross slides through. Clanton's going to follow along, but they're all working on traffic. We're on leader lap 81. We're in Salem, Indiana at the Tecumseh 300. Stay right there. The International Lawn, Garden, and Outdoor Power Equipment Exposition in Louisville, Kentucky. That is what is known as a log mover ripsaw. Now that is a serious tool, Buddy Baker, and that is a Tecumseh motor running that thing.
Man,
did you use one of those in your backyard?
That is my backyard. What are you talking about?
There we have the leader, Brian Ross, with Joey Clanton right on his hip. They just did clear some traffic, but that's a pretty good fight going on.
Yeah, they got up behind Russ Tuttle just a second ago, and Russ didn't see the leader of Brian Ross there, and he held him up just about a half a lap there, and boy, Clanton just caught right up on the back of Brian Ross's car.
Joey Clanton ran 18th in his only ASA run here at Salem. That was last summer, so his fortunes are a little stronger just now, and I would submit, Buddy Baker, it takes a year or so, a couple of visits to get used to this high-banked operation.
Well, you know where the drama's going to be. Brian Ross looks almost unbeatable right now, but they hadn't made a pit stop, this group, all year long because it's their first start. So what's going to happen when they come in? Are they going to come in first, go out 15th? He might just be making a statement here and really drop back in the pack because, you know, good pit crews have to do it quite often.
There we see the fourth place car, Scott Hansen in the structural transport Ford. He has Sandy Hang in his pit.
Well, actually, they're walking around like a bunch of nervous Nellies down here hoping for a caution because those tires are starting to wear down for these guys. Scott has reported back that he's been all over the track. At the same time, we're seeing Mike Miller's crew run down. He's got a problem with the 18.
We'll check on that. Mike Miller has suddenly fallen back to 12th position. He was up to 6th spot and 7th spot right next to Mike Eddy a moment ago, buddy.
Yeah, and it's strange. They're taking on left sides. That would almost tell me they had a flat on the left front of the race car. Something's wrong up there because they went to the left side instead of the right. Now they have the hood up.
So it could be more than one thing wrong. We'll check on that in detail as soon as we get a reporter there. Sandy is there.
There is a problem with that left side tire. That was the first part. Now they're underneath inside trying to see if there's another problem. And I'm going to look along with them as they try to solve this puzzle.
Meantime, he continues to fall further and further back in the standings and losing some laps. He's now back to 21st, stuck in the pit, and over 3 laps behind already. I mean, it only takes a minute or so, and you're out of the race practically.
Yeah. Well, look at this. We've got a battle for the lead right now. Brian Ross and Joey Clanton going at it less than a car length apart. And right now, Brian Ross moves down on the racetrack as they head down in the corner, and he just lets Clanton go in the 83 car.
So Joey Clanton goes back to the point he led earlier on, gave up the lead to Butch Miller, who then went to the pit with the engine problem, and Ross got by him. At the same time, Miller was getting by, and then held on to the lead for several laps. That's sort of the blow-by-blow in-sequence scenario, but now we have Clanton back on the point, and the lap speeds are at about 104.5 miles an hour, so they continue to deteriorate on this still first load of fuel.
That's true, and the racetrack itself getting much slicker now. The cars go around here, they put more rubber down, a little bit of oil for some of the problems that other cars have had out there, and that's the reason the cars really drop off. But Joey Clanton about 10 car lengths now in the lead as Tim Taylor closes in. We'll look back at some of the cars that are going around the racetrack now, back in the pack. You see Greg Stewart, who had a left rear go flat at the first part of the race, losing a couple of laps.
Resetting the top 5 quickly. Clanton, Ross, Taylor, Hansen, and Robbie Pyle. Bob Dillner.
Well, Chris, Butch Miller is back out on the track, but this is exactly what happened. They had a crack in the headers, and the heat was pouring out of there and burning up some of the electrical wires. So what they did is they tried to plug up the header as best they could, and they put this heat-reflective material around the wires, and they're hoping Butch can continue the rest of the way in this race.
Bob, excuse me, we have trouble on the front straightaway. Price has spun around the number 40 car right on the front straightaway here.
So that's the second time he's looped it. He had a flat tire the first time, and that got him all out of control. Also with difficulty earlier was Greg Stewart of a similar situation. And on lap number 106, we go back to yellow for the third time in the event.
And lead cars will be coming to the pits, I'll guarantee you, because a lot of the cars want to know what the tires are doing.
The window to the end of the race, we believe, could be open at this point, depending on yellows, through the second two-thirds of the event. But certainly, with the number of yellows this place normally produces, they could be well within the window in terms of a fuel load to the end of the 300 laps. So going to yellow one more time. Johnny Sauter, he's part of a huge family tradition. It gets bigger and bigger. Bob Dillner checked that out earlier.
We've told you a lot about the Sauter family tradition in ASA this year and how the sons helped the father and the brothers helped each other. Well, now the nephew, 18-year-old Travis Sauter, is helping the uncle, 23-year-old Johnny Sauter. I see a trend happening here, Travis.
Well, yeah, it seems to be working for everybody else in the family, so I figure I should try it out. You know, I want to race just like the rest of them, and it's a good place to start. Learning a lot about the cars, and hopefully I can just get in a seat pretty soon.
Funny thing is, guys, Travis thinks he can be better than all the rest.
Well, what a family they are, and they just keep coming.
Boy, I tell you what, they are very gifted, but you see the leaders heading for the pits right now.
And Clanton is off, Ross is off, Taylor peels off. Everybody on the lead lap is going to go in there. And leader lap 107, and Clanton leads the procession down. Now, he's got a tested crew. Ross doesn't. Neither does Taylor, at least not to the degree that Clanton. Hansen's people are pretty well tested under fire. Then Pyle and Eddie, those folks know what to do. Gary St. Amant, Bob Dillner, you're there.
Well, Jackman Jonathan Buckner jacks up the Zaxby Chevrolet. We'll see who does get out first as they change right side BF Goodrich tires on the number 83 car. Joey Clanton very happy with that car. They have a very fast stop, and he beats everybody off a pit road.
That's what they needed. Pit speed limit is 30 miles an hour for the record, and off he goes, and we'll keep an eye on the others as they begin to roll. Robbie Pyle's team got him rolling in the second spot. Mike Garvey got a great stop. Johnny Sauter got a great stop. Tim Taylor is next in line, and Brian Ross will be a little bit further back. He's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to leave the pit, Buddy Baker.
That's not all that bad, though. The guys did a good job.
Stabbing sights, you see him coming in. It looks like that right front fender is torn away. He has some problems and stopped on the course. Sad sight there, number 52, Butch Miller. So the makeshift repair apparently not good enough.
Not a good night for the Millers. Butch Miller stalls on the racetrack. Mike Miller still in the pits working on his car.
And he is listed in 27th position, but not officially out of the event. And that leaves 26 running of the 31 that accepted the green flag a little while ago. And moving up behind the pace truck on the back straightaway is Joey Clanton. He will be the race leader, and Robbie Pyle got a huge leap forward with his pit stop. He's going to come out of this in second.
How about Johnny Sauter all the way up to fourth? That's a good race car, and I'm sure they've made some changes on it to make it a little bit better than it was just before the stop.
He started in 15th position, did Johnny Sauter, the man who's won 6 this year, and now he is on his way perhaps to the front one more time. So a week ago, we're in Michigan. We have a problem with the mascot. Bob Dillner checked out the subsequent story.
Last week, we lost one of our beloved friends here in ASA. The car went off the corner in turn number 2 and struck Andy the Armadillo, the 30-foot Texas Roadhouse mascot, and it was a very, very sad thing to see Andy deflate right before our eyes. And Frank Gaudesi was the guy that got pushed off the racetrack. A lot of people are saying you're the armadillo killer now, Frankie.
I know. Everybody's been coming up to me and keep asking questions. So that is my tribute to the armadillo, and hopefully I don't get anybody upset. So there you go.
Frankie G, the armadillo killer, puts the sticker on there in memory of Andy.
Hey, he's back, look. Fully recovered, standing tall on the back straightaway. A few knots around, but back.
And back was Francesco Gadesi.
Ah, what? Look at that Band-Aid. That's about a 30-foot Band-Aid there on his nostril.
I hadn't seen that earlier. Incidentally, Gadesi is out with transmission difficulties. We're at Salem. We're under yellow. Clanton leads. We've got a long way to go. Stay there. Don't go away. Just as the race moved past 50 laps, Butch Miller had gone to the point, but a broken header moved him to the left, and everybody stormed through with Brian Ross on the point for 37 consecutive laps. Number 18, Mike Miller, ran into some difficulty as well, as he had to move into the pit with a flat tire and other problems. He has just a moment ago gone back on the racing surface. The new leader, Joey Clanton, as he went through Brian Ross on the front straightaway, picking up the lead, and that's where we stand, still under yellow, working leader lap 115.
I was watching Mike Miller's car. It had a broken spindle, it looks like. The left front wheel had gone in at the top, so something broke on the suspension of the left front of Mike Miller's car. That's why he was in the pit so long.
And there we see at lap 114 a complete field rundown. Incidentally, Travis Price has stepped out of the 40 car. His dad, Jimmy Price, is in as a relief driver. We reiterate, as we go back to green, it has been brutally hot in southern Indiana, and we expect perhaps more than just the price change in drivers before the night is done.
Great battle for second there. Robbie Powell has Mike Garvey all over him as they head down into turn one there. Mike Garvey inches away from the back bumper of Robbie Powell, and just behind them, Johnny Sauter makes a move to the inside.
Good pit stop for him. He started way back in the field in 15th position, but the pit stop helped him shuffle forward into contention, and Johnny Sauter trying to make the most of it. We watch his car bob and weave, and you can see some of the roughness, the ripples on this racing surface. Buddy Baker, it's a tough chore out there.
Yeah, and you're riding with a very tough customer right there. Mike Garvey, 2 years ago, leading this race. The power steering went out before halfway. He gutted it out and finished in that podium position here.
Resetting the top part of the field, Clanton, Pyle, Garvey, Sauter, Taylor, Ross, Cope, Eddie, Hansen, and Sawinski. That is your top 10, and that's who you see on the racetrack. And look at Sauter, a car length adrift of Mike Garvey at the moment. Johnny Sauter, winner of 6 races this year in the AP Plasman Group Chevrolet.
Just behind this bunch, as you see Sauter, look at Garvey's quarter power over. Brian Ross comes up in the 84, gets by Mike Cope. Now looks at, I tell you, that car is fast, and Brian Ross is driving his heart out.
Well, we talked during the break there, buddy, that he didn't get a good pit stop, and we really didn't figure he would. Doesn't have the season crew. Here comes Cope. After him, as Cope is working on 6th place, and he gets it back from Ross.
Yes, and just behind them, Mike Eddy in the 11th car. Hey, it's not easy no matter where you're at, up front or in the middle of the pack. You have to earn every spot.
So Ross has led this race for 37 laps and was within the top 4 throughout the first third of the event. Really fighting hammer and tong to hang on as Mike Eddy sends a shower of sparks off the back of the car as he gets into turn number 3. He's working on Ross, the polar bear. They're coming up on the Vortex car. The green and white one down low.
And the reason we're showing you these guys back here fighting for position, Joey Clanton's gone into another time zone up front. He's got about a 20-car lap lead and just moving away right at the moment.
And we watch Johnny Sauter swing around Jimmy Price in the 40 car now, and standing hang. We have more on the subject.
We'll actually have a little bit about Johnny Sauter. I was talking to his crew chief, Joe Shear Jr. He was having the same problem a lot of the drivers complained about before the pit stop. They were all over the track. They were very loose because of the tire compound. This is the car they won with in Nashville. And they started in 16th position and worked their way forward. They're very confident with this car right now.
They started in 15th in this one and are running in 4th. And the way they've turned events, no matter where they were in the starting grid or any other situation this year, I'd be brimming with confidence too, buddy.
And Johnny Sauter's looking for a place on the racetrack that car will work better than just right up against the tall part of the wall. You see a lower line there. If we have trouble, Williams spins around in the 55 car.
Greg Williams from Hofstead, Indiana, the Raven Tire Chevrolet, with Smith Engines also on the side of the car as the auxiliary sponsor. He gets sideways. The right front is gone, and we have a yellow. He was running in 13th position at the time. So he may not have to step aside if they can get him back around to the pits, but there is a little bit of a scrape up that right side as well as they slow down behind the pace car one more time.
And that wheel was moved way back, so the contact had moved some of the suspension on that car back. You can see the wheel bent there, so there's a lot of damage to that car. They'll have to work on it.
Well, he got up to that wall pretty hard. Is that the...
That was Tuttle in the 16, yeah. He just about got in the trunk lid of that car trying to miss him. He thought he'd go up hit the wall and veer off. He didn't do that.
And he's climbed out of the car. So Greg Williams is going to step away, and they'll send the hook out to retrieve the equipment in the middle of turns 1 and 2, and he looks none the worse for the wear, although it looked as though he took a pretty good whack. In fact, at the drivers' meeting this morning, Brian Robbins told everybody, he said, man, when you hit something around here, you hit it hard. You will remember.
There's no such thing as an easy lick here, I'll promise you. The cars are so quick. It's one of the fastest half-mile racetracks in the world.
And so they single out behind the pace car. There's Clanton, then Pyle, who held on doggedly to second position after the restart a few laps ago against Mike Garvey, who's third, then Sauter, then Cope. Cope up into the 5th position.
And the leaders will probably come in and get left side tires on this lap. You can see them starting to dive into the pits right now.
So the earlier pit stop under normal ASA rules, only 2 tires per stop, and now they're going to dive back in and finish the job, maybe set them up for the rest of the way, but I tend to doubt it. We're on lap 128. Sandy Hanks.
Right now, Johnny Sauter is coming in to take left sides on. They're also making a pressure adjustment on those left side tires, as Johnny does it, he is down and away. Bob?
Left side tires, it will be on the Zaxby Chevrolet for Joey Clanton. Crew Chief Gene Roberts cleaning the windshield. Joey having a lot of stuff on that windshield. That'll make it easier for him to see around this very high banked half mile. Jack Long working on the left front right now. He is down and away, but you know what? Not a good pit stop this time for the 83 bunch.
They got caught this time. First out on pit road is Mike Garvey, then Sauter, then Mike Cope, then Robbie Pyle, and then Clanton, then Gary St. Amant. So we're getting a big shuffle up again as a result of activity in the pits. The official standings as we take a break, Clanton, Pyle, Cope, Taylor, and Ross, but that's going to change. Welcome back to Salem, down in Louisville, the International Lawn Garden and Outdoor Power Equipment Exposition. A little hole, and it does the job. Look at that. You got a garden, get one of those. Here we go to green. We have a couple of lap traffic cars in front of the race leader. That's Mike Garvey with Sauter second and Cope third. This is a car race, Buddy Baker.
It is that, and you can look back as deep as 15th spot there, nose to tail all the way back there. You can see right now that the 9 car of Johnny Sauter closing in now to make this a real car race as they go into the first turn. Look at Mike Cope all over the back of the 9 car, but I'll tell you one thing. Sauter is looking him over right now. This guy has won 6 times this year, won 5 in a row.
This is Chad Wood in 13th position just in front of him. They're working on him, trying to get by. And just behind Mike Garvey is Sauter, then Cope. Now Wood is a lap adrift, so that is the race leader, Mike Garvey. He got magnificent work in the pits, and you were mentioning while we were away, Buddy Baker, how good this Sauter crew was. Man, they moved him up in 2 consecutive pit stops from about 11th place to 2nd. Sandy Hanks.
I'm right now with Bob Cousins, crew chief for Mike Garvey. Outstanding pit stop for you guys, but you made a lot of changes with the tires.
Yeah, the guys did an awesome job with the pit work. It's so darn loud here. We've been practicing real hard with that. We went through the right rear tire there in that first run. We tightened the car a little bit up with some sway bars. The left side tires have really helped tighten it up.
Real quickly, you're going to have Johnny Sauter right behind you. Do you have the car to keep him away?
Yeah, we got a real good car. We just been biding our time. This is our race to win.
Mike Garvey won earlier this year at USA International down in Florida. He got by the lap traffic, and he's driving away, buddy.
He has, and Chad Wood now moves over to let Sauter have the high side, but he's about 15, 20 car lengths back. Mike Garvey really got a break there. He got by the lap traffic and just moved away from Johnny Sauter.
Now, this is a very fast half mile. Can they help each other with the draft at all and get back up there?
Anytime you go over 100 miles an hour, of course, you have some draft, but it's not like Daytona Talladega. But you can tell these cars, two of them running together, can run the straightaways a little bit quicker than, say, a car by itself out there.
In the middle of turn number 2, that is Mike Garvey in the Tecumseh Chevrolet, the namesake of the event. Would he love to get a victory, not only for his season and himself, but for his sponsor, Tecumseh? And look at this. Oh, Clanton coming back against Pyle. That's for 4th place.
Joey Clanton's been able to pass any race car on this racetrack when he catches them. He just drove to the bottom, powered by Pyle as they go down the back straightaway. Joey Clanton now showing, by our computers, the fastest car on the track.
And he's in 4th place now and drawing away quickly from Pyle, trying to get up to Cope and Stoddard, and that fight for 2nd place. And it looks like he just might do it. And they have, the two of them, Stoddard and Cope, close back up at Mike Garvey. So what he was able to create with the traffic, he has given up.
You got that right. As we see Kevin Sawinski and Gary St. Amant battling right here for position, the front group right now nose to tail again. What was an advantage is no longer there.
That is for 6. St. Amant has it, Sawinski wants it, and Mike Eddy is kind of watching from a little bit of a distance, but not all that far away. St. Amant and Sawinski, and look at that fight up front.
Boy, I tell you right now, Mike Garvey's just kind of in the way. I think Johnny Sauter has run him down from about a 15-car deficit, and Mike Cope right there with him. This is, as you said a while ago, this is a car race with a lot of excitement.
And there's a few folks in this grandstand standing on their feet, hooting and hollering and yelling. That is a terrific bit of action going on. Low groove belongs to Sauter. He takes it through even below the preferred line, and he tries to get up on the straightaway, but he can't. And again, in 3, you're going up to the wall, so you got to single out.
The one thing I am worried about, the line that Johnny Sauter is running, he's putting tremendous amount of pressure on those tires, and they have been chipping just a little bit on the outside shoulder. That could be a problem later on in the long run.
And look who's joining up back there. There's number 83. He's in the frame. It's now a 4-car fight. Clanton got to him.
Tell you what, Clanton, there's no question about it. There is nobody out there right now running like Joey Clanton. Look at this Florida bunch here.
Yeah, boy, they're looking on. Let's go down to Sandy Hank.
Well, if you can see Mike Cope's pit right now, they're almost dancing down here. They're happy the way things are going. They think they've got a car. The right opportunity, they believe Mike is going to be going to the front.
Well, you know, they've had a few things to get excited about this year, but this is one of the better ones. No question about that. Working on leader lap number 149, Garvey, if he holds on for a lap and a half, is going to pick up a little bit of a bonus we'll tell you about. But right now, I think that's the last thing on his mind, even though we'll pass along the information here in a second.
That's the last thing on Johnny Sauter's mind right now. You can see him really laying hard on those right side tires, a little bit lower than the rest of the car through the center part of the corner. Cope using all the racetrack
halfway. So Mike Garvey, the half-point leader, picks up a $1,500 bonus, compliments of his major sponsor on the car, Tecumseh. But I tell you what, they brought it when they came to Salem as far as sponsorship. That Tecumseh company.
Oh, they've helped every race team here with a little assistance this week. It's just been a great week for the Tecumseh quality team. We're glad to have them in ASA.
$50,000 add-on to all the monies available for the weekend, and it's posted at $237,000 for the event. That's a nice bit of change.
It is that. Joey Clanton now right nose to tail there in 4th spot, the yellow car. The only car that's been able to just pull out and pass cars at will. When he got this first 4, he's kind of settled into a good race pace now.
Cope and Clanton went faster the last lap than Garvey and Sauter. So 1st to 4th closed up. You know, the front bumper of Mike Garvey to the back bumper of Clanton is closer together. Sandy?
Right now I'm with Joe Stewart Jr., who is the crew chief for Johnny Sauter. You have the car to get around Garvey.
Yeah, I think we do. We got a pretty decent car right here. We're just kind of trying to be smart right here because we need to finish this race more than anything.
Okay, that's Joe Stewart Jr.
Wow, that's a good crew chief talking there. I mean, you got to think about the points and the championship. But Johnny in that car, I guarantee he's thinking about winning a race.
Absolutely. 23 years old, the points, if he get them, they're fine. But he's wanting to win this race, I'll guarantee you. But right behind him, Mike Cove has not won this year. They call him the Wicky-Wacky Warrior. I'll tell you what, he's exciting anytime he's up there.
He did have a second-place finish earlier on. He ran second in Milwaukee in August of last year, so he is certainly capable, and he's right in the fight. He's fun to watch when he's on full song with his racing equipment. Bob Dillner.
Buddy, you were talking about the tires chipping. Let's show you exactly what they're doing. The BFG makes a great tire, but this is a rough racetrack. This is the right front. You can see the edge of the tire just chipping off. And take a look at the right rear. Usually the right front takes the punishment, but here at Salem, the right rear is also chipping. A lot of pit stops. All these teams are planning for him, buddy. You got to keep an eye on that, don't you?
Absolutely. If you go through the rubber, the next thing is the fabric, and you get down on fabric, there's not anything there. So you don't want to do that. I'm sure a lot of people right now are aware they have a tire problem and maybe taking a little bit easier than they would if they didn't have the problem.
Having sights as they swing by. Stoddard tries to pick the seam in between the two cars. It's not quite there, and Cope looking on from another car length back. As we watch that battle, one more note about the tires. It wasn't unanticipated by BF Goodrich. They brought something that has been termed rock hard. I think came with the best they could.
Well, they got a great tire. Sandy hit on one thing. You can look at the pavement there. There's about 30 different things out there. Patches, places where they seal the racetrack. It's not consistent. Anytime you have that, you have excessive tire wear.
Radio communication, compliments of Johnny Stoddar's team as we watch him run in second position on board with the Tecumseh Chevrolet of Mike Garvey. He is the race leader. We're on leader lap 161 of scheduled 300 here at Salem, Indiana. The high banks of Salem providing a magnificent show on a hot summer evening. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Salem. We are under yellow. There has been an incident on the back straightaway involving 4 cars. None of them contenders for the win. John Silverthorne, John Webb, Brandon Fagan, and Ricky Bryant. There you see the John Webb car as the cars that are still running move by slowly. And the 50 laps 100 to 1. Oh, this is the replay. I'm sorry. And let's take a look at it. The Vortec car goes out of control and then just collects a few folks there.
Well, everybody got on the brakes there, except for that one car there, John Silverthorne. He kind of come through there a little bit quicker and got in the back of a car after the wreck was almost over with. But John Webb, that's his first start, and I tell you, he's up against the back wall over there with a lot of damage.
Okay, contenders are pitting. Sandy Hanks.
Well, your race leader is just down and away. He's got to go along that shepherd hook that I was talking about to get out. Let's go to Bob.
The Joey Clanton car is down on pit road, right side tires this time. This team was very unhappy with their last pit stop, but a dynamite pit stop this time. The 83 is out before the number 9 or the number 1.
So off they go down pit road. Pit road speed limit is 30 miles an hour, and you can see Clanton got back to the front, but Sauter got another brilliant pit stop, and he got by Garvey.
Yes, that's a great pit stop, and I'll tell you something. These guys are competitive. Those guys had a bad pit stop on the 83 of Joey Clanton. They come back and really give everybody a shot.
Okay, lap traffic will have an opportunity to pit before the yellow is withdrawn. Meantime, let's look at laps 100 through 150. Butch Miller started brilliantly, won the pole for the weekend, but the broken header has taken him out. Big lead for Joey Clanton during that segment of 50 laps, but number 55, Greg Williams, got sideways up into the wall, nearly collected Russ Tuttle. That pulled out the yellow and touched off another round of pit stops. In the pits, Joey Clanton was passed by both Mike Garvey and Johnny Sauter on the pit stop. They went back out. Clanton tried to fight his way back to the front, got as far as 4th, but now just a moment ago with another pit stop, he has gotten back, we believe, to the point. And number 1, Mike Garvey, 4th leader of the race because of a brilliant pit stop on lap 128, but now he's moved back a little bit further. A rapidly changing series of events and standings in this event. Pretty exciting, Buddy Baker.
It is that, and I just got a report that Brian Ross is not feeling real well in the car, and there may be a driver change. David Stremme is standing by and may go into that car. I don't know what the problem is. He might have an exhaust leak or something like that, but I do hear that they're talking about changing drivers.
Jimmy Price went into the 40 car a little while ago, and David Stremme will run relief for Brian Ross. As we mentioned earlier a couple of times, it's been very, very hot in the high 80s and 90s, low 90s during the day. It's a little less than that now, but it's pretty steamy down there, I think, Bob Dillner.
Oh, it is definitely steamy down here. Brian Ross feeling some of the effects from some of the fumes that are coming inside that race car. David Stremme has driven for Robert Hans. He drove for him here last year. David is standing by to get in that car. When he comes down pit road, we will show you that driver swap.
Yeah, and you can see he's already dropped the driver's net on the left side of that car. He's coming out of there when they stop.
So we'll wait and see how that is done and how quickly they're able to accomplish it. That car is on the lead lap at the moment as they continue to operate and circulate under the yellow flag.
You can't believe how bad gas fumes are when it's this hot, and it's going right back in your face. He has a problem with the header, apparently, and boy, I tell you what, he's doing a smart thing getting out there before he gets in trouble.
We're on leader lap 173 as the field strings out behind the pace truck. And you see them waiting, and the car has arrived, and the change is underway. The net had already been dropped down. Now a couple of crewmen get in there and unbuckle the belt, and in goes David Stremme, who's seen service in ASA earlier this year, taking over the Robbie's Steakhouse machine for this event. Currently listed in, let's look on down the list. It's dropped back quite a bit now, outside the top 10 for the first time tonight. So we're going to wait and see where they funnel back in. And there's Johnny Sauter in the second position on the course, and Sandy Hang has more.
I'm with his crew chief again, Joe Shear Jr. Rising star here. You two have really been able to hook up and have a great deal of success. Now, great pit stop, but it puts you right behind Joey Clinton. Knowing the problems in the past, what are you prepared to say to Johnny if tempers get a little hot with the temperatures tonight?
The AP Plasma Chevrolet is pretty good here, and we won't even deal with him. We put that in the past. We're just out here to finish a race and get points and stuff like that. We'll just treat him like any other racer that's out there.
When you've been watching these cars, do you think Johnny is equally matched to Joey? Can you get around him, or do you have a better car, or will you ride behind?
Joey's got a pretty good car here, and we got a pretty good car here. We got a lot of laps to go here. We'll just see what happens. It's going to be a little bit of pit strategy here, and I just want to say BF Goodrich built a pretty good tire here. We're putting the abuse to it right now, and it's holding up.
Okay, this could be interesting to see how this plays out in a little bit, you guys.
Yeah, and you can see them going back and forth very violently in the corners, scuffing those tires in so they don't have to go down in the first corner and lean on them hard, and them being green and maybe chipping that right side up.
Tom Powell tells them.
Tommy got her
crew's also telling them 1 lap to go, and we're going to go to green. Let's go to Bob Dillner.
Brian Ross, how you feeling?
A little dizzy right now. Fumes in the car got to me or something. We was getting pretty bad out there. I was getting pretty bad out there. I hate to let everybody down, you know, but I figure if we put David in it, he'll do a good job and keep the race car in one piece.
As we go green once again, Chris.
Flag is out, charge is on, RPMs are up there in turn number 1. Clanton, Sauter, Garvey, Cope, St. Amant. That's the top 5.
Here comes Cope on the bottom side. He and Garvey hit.
And a little bit out of shape is Mike Cope as he wiggled the car and gathered it up. Garvey seemed rock solid, and the 25 car got a little out of shape there, but he caught it.
Mike Garvey, one of the better short track drivers anywhere, didn't seem to really rattle him. We've seen it in the past. When these guys hit each other, they hit each other to get their attention, but they certainly don't wreck them.
And we'll take a look at it one more time and see how they held the line. Here they come, side by side.
Hong Kong. Oh!
But there are no horns up.
Yeah, and he told him, he gave him a little gesture as they started off the corner there. I couldn't quite make it out, but I have a good idea.
International Sign Language, we all know it well. Clanton, Sauter, Garvey, Cope, and Gary St. Amant are the top 5. Cope made a bid, and also Gary St. Amant has a bid being made against him. That is Mr. Eddie.
Mike Eddie's really putting a lot of heat on Gary St. Amant just for a moment, and then he got right by him. I tell you, Mike Eddie on the move.
He is on the move, picking up the 5th position in the race. The lead belongs to Clanton and Sauter, and those two guys just ran laps at better than 109 miles an hour trying to draw away. And it looks like like St. Amant may be vulnerable to some others as Pyle gets right up against his rear spoiler, and there you see looking ahead from the number 7 to the 21 is Sawinski at Pyle in the battles for position. St. Amant has 6, Pyle has 7, Sawinski has 8. Scott Hansen isn't far away. Here comes Sawinski against Pyle down to the inside. He thinks better of it as they approach the 3rd turn.
And that's the Brian Ross car on the bottom of the racetrack. They're certainly not back up to speed as the other cars go by.
Number 84, Ross was in it before and is now Stremme in 12th position. That is the last car still on the lead lap. So they did a pretty good job with the driver swap and at least saved the lead lap for the released driver. There's Robbie Pyle. He's pulled away from Sawinski just a little bit in the 7th position, trying to pull up on Gary St. Amant. There you see the space between Kevin Sawinski and the Texas Roadhouse machine and Robbie Pyle at number 63.
You can see the sparks flying right now. Right after a pit stop with full fuel load, you see the cars bottom out just a little bit as they go along. You don't notice it quite as badly because the car's a little bit lighter and it does not sink as much in the corner.
Kevin Sawinski ran 4th here last year, looking for better this time around. But the race leader, it's Joey Clanton. Stay there. Welcome back to Salem. Chris McClure along with Buddy Baker, Sandy Hang, and Bob Dillner. This is round 13 of the 2001 ASA AC-Delco Racing Series, and Mike Miller got into the wall just a moment ago, buddy.
Yeah, and he's undoing all the electronics inside the car. He gets into the outside wall. You can see the parts flying off the right front corner. Not a good night for him. It broke a ball joint earlier in the race, spent a lot of time in the pit. Now the right front down and into the wall hard.
But apparently he's going to be all right, and that is the good news because, as we mentioned, that was a pretty good whack. This is the 6th yellow flag of the evening as we work on later lap 195. Now, a week ago in Michigan, the 83 and the 9 got together more than once on the track, and they talked it over after the race.
He's out of control, that's all I can say. He's out of control, he's out of control, he's out of control.
You know, he comes through the field, and he pushes and shoves to get there every time. I mean, every race we've been up front, he's bumped us to get by us. And, you know, it's time to pay a little back. I mean, if he wants to race that way, that's the way we'll race.
Now it looks as though we're going to get some pit stops, Buddy Baker, and it doesn't look as though all the top 10s are going to come in. So people start perhaps to play track position.
It looks like Gary St. Amant on the top of the 7 car is going to stay out. Just behind him, Scott Hansen, but the leader's definitely headed for pit road here. Joey Clanton leads them down. Look at Butch Miller, dejected.
Mike Miller, as he gets out of the car, you can see sweat soaked. I mean, it is hot around these parts, and here they come. Sauter's already in his pit stall. Sandy Hank standing by.
Well, he's taking on right sides, but one of the disadvantages of having a poor qualifying position is he does not have a premium pit stop like Joey Clanton does. He's down and away. Let's go to Bob.
Johnny took on right sides. Well, Joey's taking on left sides. Gene Roberts, the crew chief, said, every chance I get, I'm coming down pit road to change tires. Rubber, very, very important here. Another very good pit stop, and he just beats Johnny Sauter and Mike Cope off of pit road.
Okay, so there they come. 83, 9, and 25 in that order. We'll watch them as they get to the end of pit road and funnel their way back onto the course. But at the same time, Gary St. Amant stayed out there behind the pace car. So did Hansen, and so did Tim Taylor, among others. So we're going to get them scrambled a different way as this round of pit stops on lap 196 unfolds. Joey Clanton is still listed the leader. Stay there. It's going to change. One of the treasured pictures of summer. Men on a motor. Yeah,
that's it.
Is that a motorcycle? I thought it was. My wife told me that was a motorcycle.
It's a riding more in North Carolina.
You can bet on one thing. A Tecumseh engine is what powers that down at the International Lawn Garden and Outdoor Power Equipment Exposition. We're under yellow here at Salem Speedway, and we have a new race leader. It is Gary St. Amant. Kevin Sawinski now running in 10th position. And, you know, not long ago, Bob Dillner had a funny feeling about the number 21 crew, so he stopped by to check it out.
You know, there's been something missing around the Texas Roadhouse team the past couple of weeks, but I can't quite put my finger on it. Kevin, can you help me out? What am I missing here?
Well, Bob, you know, we really are. We're missing Tracy. She's been back in Minneapolis for the last couple of weeks. We're expecting a little girl in probably 3 more months. So, you know, we had to put her a little bit on the rest schedule, and you know, she's anxious to get back to this sport of ours.
Big congratulations to you and Tracy. Also congratulations to other baby boomers here. Joey Clanton's wife, Brandy, she is pregnant. And Glenn Allen, crew chief for Russ Tuttle, his wife, Catherine, is pregnant as well.
And as we go back to green, let it be known that Bob Dillner and wife Meredith are also expecting.
Congratulations, Bob. Well, I tell you what, Scott Hansen now in second place in that 5-car. Gary St. Amant leading. Tim Taylor there in the 28 running in third. They did not choose to stop on that last stop. I don't know that that's a real smart idea because some cars are having a little tire problem.
But they're playing track position right now, but one would think they can't get to the end of the tires they are on. Their last stops came on lap 170, so that's 32 laps to go.
I'm speaking of speed, though. Joey Clanton there on the outside looks much quicker with fresh tires on his car as he comes up through the pack right now. He's picking them off one at a time.
Well, he's outrunning the leaders by about a mile an hour, and more than that against the others. Bob Dillner.
I'm down with Bill McGowan, crew chief for Gary St. Amant. I know it's all about track position, Bill, but an interesting move.
Well, it's only been 20 laps since we got tires, and we're trying to jockey for position on that last pit stop, and closer we can be to the front, the better. So I don't know if it's a gamble or not, but we're going to try it.
He'll try it. Bill says Gary is getting very good wear on his tires, guys.
Well, he better be.
Yeah, he is getting around the racetrack very well. That last lap, very good for Gary St. Amant. You can see Scott Hansen right in his tire tracks as we go through 1 and 2. But Joey Clanton much quicker. He's closing in. He's just behind Tim Taylor now as he closes in on the lead cars.
Gary St. Amant on the point, then Hansen, then Taylor, then Clanton in the 4th position. That shuffles car number 6, Tristan Dupuis, back into the 5th spot. Dupuis sitting in the number 6 car as a relief driver after yesterday and running it pretty darn nicely as a substitute. Meantime, we go back to the pits and Sandy Hanks.
Well, right now, Hansen made the same decision. He made it from the pits. This is his first chief. Why stay out there?
We decided the way the car was running would be all right. So we'll see if we can do it.
Oh, they took the gamble. They're going to stick it out.
There they are. There's Scott Hansen against Gary St. Amant. Just a car length between them.
Yes, and you see Joey Clanton, the yellow car there, closing in about 0.3 of a second right now, flying around this racetrack with a much fresher tire. 20 laps does not sound like much, but let me tell you, you can do a lot of use to a tire in 20 laps when you're running as fast as they are here.
Tristan Dupuis in the 6th car. We saw him there in a fight. Now we see it again with Robbie Powell. Now, Tristan has been shuffling backwards since the restart. His car really not up to snuff as opposed to the guys he's running with right now. But give him credit, he's still 8th in the race, and he's fighting hammer and tongue against Robbie Powell.
Yeah, and he had a push condition just before this last stop, so he's working like crazy right now just to get that car through the corner and get everything like he wants it. Joey Clanton right now moving up on 3rd spot as we watch this bunch right here fight it out back in the back. There's no rest in the race, believe me, whether you're leading or fighting for position like these guys are.
And Mike Garvey, one-time race leader, running in 10th position in the number 1 Tecumseh Chevrolet, trying to track down Robbie Powell, and he's got Kevin Sawinski on his hip. As they move on to the straightaway, it is Garvey looking high and then tuck it back in, and now we go on board with Sawinski, who runs in the 11th spot in the Texas Roadhouse Chevrolet.
And you can see, you can't see the leaders right now. These guys are back here on the front straightaway, and the leaders going into turn 3. Scott Hansen right now, nose to tail, but look at that yellow bullet coming up there in 3rd spot right now. Joey Clanton is running these guys down. He is mowing them down, as a matter of fact. Tim Taylor not even in the shot, and he was running 3rd just a second ago.
Gary St. Amant ran 3rd in this race last year. Last week, he left Michigan a little bit angry. He thought he had a victory taken right out from under his nose. He came here with, we talked about Clanton a while ago. St. Amant came here with a little bit of a mad on as well about the whole situation. And he's driving his heart out against Hansen and the others right now.
Well, this is the case of the used and not used, and the tires on the yellow car there in 3rd spot, fresh, and you can see right there, much quicker in the corner.
And Hansen takes the low line through the corner that trip and onto the straightaway, where he swings it out near the wall. Let's see how he gets into 3. He'll get back up near the wall before it's all said and done off 4. There they are, but Clanton is right there. And then it's a space back to Tim Taylor, number 28, who is having a nice night, thank you, after a brilliant qualifying.
And just behind him, you can see that blue car. You can see Johnny Sauter now moving up on Tim Taylor, and just behind him, Mike Cope.
Tim Taylor and his wife Tracy celebrate their 7th wedding anniversary tomorrow. You can bet a winner's trophy would be a nice way to start the day, wouldn't it? Let's go to Bob Dillon.
Well, I'm down here with Tim Taylor's crew chief, Brian Swinney. How are things going right now?
Tim's just been a little hot in the car. That last yellow, he got a chance to turn on his cool suit and got cooled off. He feels pretty good. Better on long green runs. Car seems to be pretty tight when they first drop the green, but if we can get some long green runs, we'll be there at the end.
Well, guys, the real truth is when Tim Taylor was running 10th, Brian said, oh, he's all hot and bothered inside that car. Now that he's running 4th and in the top 5, well, he's feeling okay now.
It does tend to change your perspective a little bit. Things have changed up near the front. There we see it. St. Amant still has the lead, but Clanton got through Hansen while we were talking to Taylor's people.
Now, the one thing that the Joey Clanton car has done, he has been running so much faster than everybody else. He has leaned on those tires, and pretty soon they're not going to be the freshest. As I see the car slip a little bit in the center part of the corner there, Joey Clanton was laying on those tires trying to get back to the front.
18 laps since that pit stop for Joey Clanton. It's longer than that. It's about 40 laps, almost 50 now for Gary St. Amant as he continues to hang on to the lead, but Clanton continues to close down. St. Amant's last lap, 170.9 miles an hour. Clanton's last lap, 108.3. So he's outrunning him.
Your point is, he's closing.
Yes, he is indeed. And they're leaving Hansen, the two of them, is just a little bit in their way. Hansen trying valiantly to hang on. But his biggest problem in the moment is going to be Johnny Sauter, who just got by Taylor and now runs in the 4th spot, and he's going to be up against Hansen. You can almost bet on it. He does it race after race after race, just eating up deficits. But in this case, it's a full straightaway almost.
Yeah, and Mike Cope right now trying to get by Tim Taylor, the 28 car there. Mike Cope in the 25, the blue car there. You can see right now, these are cars that have pressure tires, and they didn't go to the front as fast as Clanton, so they probably have the benefit of a little pressure tire. Clanton has just been all over the racetrack trying to get the lead back.
Well, one thing you don't want to do, as I understand it, Buddy Baker, is really go fast on fresh tires right away. You want to bring them in and let them get into a good cycle as St. Amant starts to pick up some traffic.
Here's your problem, is exactly lap traffic in front of these guys right now. They have to be very, very careful. Matt Pilsky on the bottom there had contact with the wall a while ago. Now that's the full song in the 10 car. A lot of these guys right now are trying to move out of the way, but the preferred line, you don't have one.
Greg Stewart just in front of the race leader, and then there are others. Davin Seitz is in there on the low groove, and Gary St. Amant is there. And look what Hansen's done with the traffic helping him out. He closed right back down with them, and now they're starting to move through the high side. There goes Seitz, there goes Greg Stewart's car, and they still have a couple, 3 more to work on. I think that's Ricky Bryant right in front of them now.
Yeah, and you see the leaders right now. Nobody more patient than Gary St. Amant. He didn't win the championship in 2000 by not being smart in traffic. So what he'll do is set them up to pass on the straightaway if he can and save those tires. And he's doing a great job. I question whether he's going to be up to full song with worn-out tires. But you can see Clanton not able to make the move on him.
72 laps to go. Leader lap 229 underway. Sandy Hing in the pits.
Well, it's a frustrating moment for their team, but they're just hoping for a caution at this point for the 5 car of Scott Hansen. They may have made a gamble. This doesn't look, at this point, doesn't look like it's paid off.
Scott Hansen stayed out. Taylor stayed out. The number 6 machiner, Tristan Dupuis, stayed out on that last opportunity to pit. So did the leader, Gary St. Amant. St. Amant has been able to make the most of it. Hansen is hanging in doggedly. Dupuis has backed up considerably. Gary St. Amant on the point. We're in the closing laps, or nearly so, at Salem. The official lighting provider to TNN Sports in this telecast is Musco. Musco, the leader in sports lighting. We have a fight at the front. Gary St. Amant, the leader, then Joey Clanton in 2nd spot. Sauter got through to 3rd, and they've been fooling with the 6 car of Tristan Dupuis. Everybody gets bottled up trying to clear him. He was just a tick slower lap by lap, and really they had to fight their way through it, buddy.
And that 9 car, Johnny Sauter, he worked his way up on the fresh tires, but he didn't abuse them coming up through there. Right now, he is showing the fastest car on the speedway, and he's closing in on Joey Clanton. But the 7 car there, Gary St. Amant, he got a lucky break. He got by Dupree and just moved right on out. He's got a pretty good lead at the moment.
Joey Clanton on the fresher set of tires than St. Amant and Hansen gained on them very, very quickly and got up to them, then couldn't do much with it. Sauter came up through the pack a little bit slower after checking with in-4 tires, and now look where they are in relative track position. The question is, who has more tire left between the two? Bob Dillner?
I'm down with Gene Roberts, crew chief for Joey Clanton, running with Johnny Sauter. Is it going to be a fight to the finish right now, or do you have to pit once more, Gene?
Well, you know, the strategy just hasn't played quite like we wanted it to. We were hoping for another caution before we got to the 250 mark. That hadn't happened, and the car's pretty good. We've developed a clutch slip, so we're kind of having to pedal this thing a little bit, but let's just see what's going to happen. I want to say hello to my daughter. She had surgery this week, and I hope she's feeling better.
Happy birthday to Gene and his wife, Donna. They celebrate birthdays very close to each other, but, buddy, what is he talking about with that clutch slip?
What was the clutch slip?
Clutch slip, that means it's... Wow, that means the clutch is slipping, exactly. And what it'll eventually do is probably tear some of the part that hooks up on the clutch, and if he does, it'll start just, the motor will rev up and it won't pull. So you don't want that.
Well, that means he's losing a little power coming off the corners already then.
Well, you'll hear, woo, woo, trying to get a bite, and it means the clutch is leaving you, and you're not getting full out of the car.
Sauter gets up alongside. He may...
Oh, boy, and these two guys, they're not best of friends. I have to say that. They've had contact many times this year, but they're really running heads up tonight. They hadn't just drove into each other like we've seen them do before.
This is the battle for seconds that we are watching. It is most specifically between Joey Clanton and Johnny Sauter. Talking about some of their encounters last week in Michigan. This is what we saw. Clanton, little bump there, a little more of a bump. Left the back. That was a little bump.
Wow, when you pick the rear wheels off the ground, that's
okay, that's more than a little bump. Tonight, but here he goes. They're back to live action, and Sauter moving through. It's almost impossible to tell the difference between a week-old replay and what was happening on the track in terms of their position.
Well,
Sauter now has second.
Yeah, and just behind him, Scott Hansen moving in there. That tells me Clanton's car is having somewhat of a problem. You see Scott Hansen now moving by him, driving right in the bottom, giving a slide job right up against the outside wall, and off turn 4 there. He's pulling away from Clanton.
Well, one would think that's more than tires. It would be spelled C-L-U-T-C-H, I would think.
Yes, I'd say that has to be. And just behind him, Mike Coates moving in now. Boy, when you start having trouble, it seems like they gang up on you.
There he is, Scott Hansen running in third. He is the defending race winner, the number 5 car, Structural Transport Ford. He's won here several times over the years.
And last year led 125 laps in a dominant fashion here.
Sandy Hank, you have more on tires.
Well, BF Goodrich has just finished a survey up and down pit road. They've determined that the tires that they've had a problem with are the cars that were not balanced properly. Specifically, the cars that had overly loose divisions are the ones coming back with the problem.
Setup.
Boy, and talking about setup, right now, Coates' car, the 25, that blue car there, catching... You can see right now the 83 of Clanton, he's in trouble, but just up in front of him, that blue car is catching Gary St. Amant, our leader, so it won't be long before we'll have a battle for the lead.
Johnny Sauter, running in the second position, has recorded victories at Hawkeye Downs. That was his first in ASA. Then Concord, Nashville, I-70, Toledo, and Chicago. That was 5 in a row. He missed last week and was disappointed. He almost considered it a failure when he finished third. He was on the podium and upset about it. But that's the way his season has gone. Gary St. Amant still continuing to soldier along in the lead. His last lap at 106 miles an hour. Bob Dillner.
I just walked up to Gary's crew chief, Bill McGowan. I said, Bill, are you hoping for a caution right now? He said, no, actually, I'm not. We want this thing to go green the rest of the way. He thinks that those older tires won't be as much of a difference once Johnny gets 20, 30, 40 laps on his tires. Johnny is catching him, but Bill is hoping maybe to hold off Johnny Sauter.
Well, and the one thing he has going for him right now, Chris, is a flagman. He's letting everybody know the leader's coming, Gary St. Amant. Where the 9 car, he's having to work his way through the traffic because there is such a gap between first and second.
This is a battle for the 4th position. Mike Cope taking a look down to the inside. This may be the run that matters.
Oh, he's going to go right on by. Joey Clanton right now in trouble. The car not running like it was just a few laps back. He's not getting off the corner. Mike Cope on the way towards the front, but you can see quite a bit of difference when they get back to the accelerator right there, about 4 car lengths.
We saw his spotter say, good job, after he effected the pass. Meantime, let's go to Sandy.
I'm with Ken Lund right now. Mike Cope, crew chief, what a tremendous run for you guys.
Well, right now the car's a little loose. Ford auction car, Redline Oil, Vortex powered Monte Carlo is doing great. Mike's doing a great job. We're really proud of him, and we're hoping to pull it off. I don't know. There's not much time left.
What is Mike saying on the radio?
He's not saying anything.
Is that a good sign?
Yeah. 40 laps.
That's the crew chief, Ken Lund.
Well, he's doing a good job in the car, and his crew chief, Ken Lund, did a terrific job getting all those names in there just right.
Boy, I'm telling you, we watched Mike Cope in the 25 as he goes in turn 3, sweeps up there. We're going to have a battle for the lead in just about 5 more laps because they're closing in as we watch the guys back in the field here. Greg Stewart, who had problems in the early part of the race, not up to full song. Cope going around here trying to pick them off, but look at this. Less than 5 car lengths now from first to second.
And they're starting to pick up some traffic as well, so that'll come into play. The next target up the track is the 09 of J.C. Beatty. St. Amant leads it. Sauter's on the move. Hansen is third, then Cope and Joey Clanton the top 5. Stay there. Laps 200 to 250, Gary St. Amant had assumed the lead, staying out for track position, while everybody else, or many of the contenders, came into the pit. Joey Clanton was passing the Scott Hansen car for P2 a little while after that round of pit stops with the fresher tires. Gary St. Amant still leading through the entire section of 50 laps. He did have the point. Johnny Sauter on the move, got by Joey Clanton for second position. It appears that Joey Clanton has a clutch problem, and that is beginning to get worse and worse and worse as the final laps begin to work their way down. We're on later lap 273 at St. Amant on the point. Sauter has been stalking closely for several laps Buddy Baker since we left, right on his hip, but hasn't yet made the big move.
Chris, you're exactly right. As a matter of fact, he was up to the number on the door of Gary St. Amant in lap traffic there, but Gary St. Amant just waited for the proper time to get by, and he just motored right off of Sauter. If anything, I think right now Gary St. Amant's a little bit quicker than Sauter is.
Gary St. Amant on the point and Sauter. What about the prospects for Scott Hansen in third? He knows how to win here. He did it last year.
Well, I think he dropped back just a little bit, maybe to cool the tires and make that last little run that he can make. But right now, these 2 cars are the people I think are going to be the decision makers. As you see some good race cars like Mike Garvey going a lap down here to the leaders.
Several laps down for Garvey. He's been battling just to stay off the wall for the last several laps. Sandy Hang, you've been investigating.
They just ducked in a couple of laps ago to make a green flag pit stop because Mike so heavily blistered the right rear tire he couldn't hold it together anymore. He said, guys, we've got to come in and make a tire change.
So the tires got away from Mike Garvey, and the race got away with him at that same moment for sure.
Well, we had heard reports that he was having trouble even earlier in the race, so finally got to Garvey's car, but these front 3 cars nose to tail now, and here comes the 5 car, Scott Hansen, moving in as I'd anticipated. I thought he had dropped back to cool the tires. Now he's going to turn it up.
Okay, so Hansen becomes a factor with the lead pack right there as he's trying to attack Johnny Sauter for the second position. Mike Cope in 4th is a little bit further adrift, quite a bit further adrift actually, and about 4.5 seconds off the lead at the moment. So he's not in that fight for the win at the present time with now just over 20 laps to go. There you see the top 5 at 278 of 300 here in the Tecumseh 300.
See Scott Hansen looking to the high side there. He's starting to run a higher line through 3 and 4, trying to find some way to get by the 9 car. Very difficult racetrack to pass on here because the cars are so evenly matched down the straightaway. Watch Hansen now. He'll go almost up to the wall if we watch Gary St. Amant come off turn 4. These guys are nose to tail. One slip, hey, you got a position change.
In a couple of corners, they're going to catch Ricky Bryant, the number 35 machine, and then a series of 3 or 4 of them stretch out in front as Robbie Pyle is there, Tristan Dupuis is there. So he's got several cars to clear here in the next 5 or 6 laps, as do all the contenders. On a short track, traffic is always a factor.
You can see them already crossing their fingers, hoping for good luck for Gary St. Amant. Right at the moment seems to have it in hand, but you never know on a short track. It can change so quickly.
He had his biggest moment in the sun of this season in Southern California as he won that race out there. It has been less rewarding since then. He's battled a lot of bad luck along the way and, battled the race car a little bit. Last week at Michigan, he thought he was the victim of bad judgment by the officials, a little bit angry that he didn't get out of the pits ahead of Butch Miller. Miller went on to win. St. Amant did not, and he carried a torch all week long coming to this race, and now perhaps vengeance will be his.
And they moved in on Robbie Pyle and some pretty good race cars, and right at the moment the 9 cars closing in on their leader. If we watch Scott Hansen, you see nose to tail there as they go by some of the lap over traffic there.
Tristan Dupuis there in the 6th car as he swings up into the line with number 5 Scott Hansen behind him. That is not good news for Hansen. We go, that's third. This is the battle for 6th position, Sawinski and Eddy, and it looks as though Sawinski's been able to get by Mike Eddy and pick up the spot. Yeah, he has for sure.
And we're down to 14 laps to go, as you can see, and I tell you, now is time. If you have anything left, you better turn it up another notch.
Kevin Sawinski looking for a top 5 finish. He's moved into 6th, and he's got to catch Joey Clanton. That may be too much in the time that is left, and the lead pack is closer and closer together. They're coming up on the 33 car, that occupied by Greg Stewart, well down in the race as they swing by Pyle, and then the next one up the track will be Stewart. Let's go about Dillner.
Well, we're down here in the pits. We're down here in the pits with Bud St. Amant, Gary's dad. What do you think? Just a few laps to go.
Yeah, things look pretty good right now, but anything can happen.
Oh, they definitely know anything can happen, especially after last week at Berlin Raceway.
Never take your eye off the race car. The fathers watch the son go around the racetrack here. Gary St. Amant has all the ability in the world, but he knows short track races can change so quickly.
They swing wide around the 2 car of Chad Wood and onto the back straightaway and suddenly into the banking once again. There's Johnny Sauter. We've been listening to some of the radio communication between he and his crew, or at least the communication going toward him from his crew and his spotter up above here at Salem Speedway. Couple of car lengths. Gary St. Amant nursing those tires. Johnny Sauter with fresher tires of the 2, but both of them have well-worn rubber beneath them now.
Well, I think right now we're seeing a guy that knows, hey, I'm in the points lead right now, running second, Gary St. Amant, and Gary St. Amant, a real contender for a points championship. Don't do anything stupid this close to the end of the race. If I can get him, fine, but protect that second spot from Scott Hansen just behind him.
Gary St. Amant came into the event 60 points behind Johnny Sauter in the championship in 3rd place. So those are 2 of the championship contenders for sure. For the rest of the summer, they will be. Scott Hansen trying to fight his way into it with just over 4 miles to go in the event. Just 8 laps, and we'll have a verdict.
And here comes Scott Hansen again. He dropped back a couple of laps there, cooled everything down, and he's making a run on the 9 car, Johnny Sauter. And they're going to have some lap traffic to contend with before it's over.
Gary St. Amant, spotter talking to him in the background. Some picnickers on the infield. Mrs. St. Amant, that is Tracy and Jordan looking on. There's Daddy. Watch Daddy. He's almost home with a checkered flag. This will be a big moment for him. Davin Sykes is the car in between, and Hansen got right up to the back of Johnny Sauter as they were clearing the traffic. That was dicey.
Oh, they almost got into that lap traffic. He checked up, and Scott Hansen did a great job of not collecting the 9 car and spinning both cars out.
And meantime, St. Amant got around Mike Eddy on the back straightaway and put a huge space back to Johnny Sauter. He didn't really jump on that thing going on behind him. He just maintained his space, and now look at it. There's a car between them. The laps are winding down. We're on 297. Gary St. Amant may have it in the bag now with that little lift by both of those guys with traffic.
This is when you say it's his race to lose. If he does not make a mistake, he definitely has the car. And I tell you what, he does not make mistakes very often.
He's got Mike Eddy in between he and his two primary contenders, Sauter and Hansen. Cope is well back now, 7 seconds off the lead, cruising home. It appears to be in fourth. Cope has a 3-second advantage over Clanton, who is in fifth place in the race. 297 are done.
And how good are they running? That's the 7th place car they just lapped there, Mike Eddy.
Now 298 are done. Gary St. Amant into the corner, a little spark from beneath as he hits the bump in the entry to turn number 3. Sauter's coming back at him. We should see a white flag, and we do. So we're in the final half mile, Buddy Baker. Big moment for number 7.
Absolutely. Gary St. Amant, one of the greatest short track drivers of all time. Very nice guy. On top of that, cruises through turn 3.
Off the turn he comes, straightens it up, sees the flag stand. The checkered flag is his. Gary St. Amant has his 2nd of the year and 17th career victory. And in terms of his title aspirations for 2001, a defense of his 2000 title, this is a very big moment. It's St. Amant, Sauter, Hansen, Cope, and Clanton, the top 5. Sawinski has crossed in 6th, then Eddy, Pyle, Taylor, and Dupuis, the top 10. A good run for Tristan Dupuis. He stepped into the car yesterday and did a magnificent job bringing it home. We'll be back to talk to all those that are headed to the podium in just a moment, so stay right there. Coverage of the 2001 ASA AC-Delco Racing Series Championship is being brought to you by B.F. Goodrich Tires. Take control.
Welcome back to Salem, Indiana. Gary St. Amant, a roller coaster of emotion for him. The past 2 weeks, the controversy last week in Marne, Michigan, and now the victory right here in Salem, Indiana. Gary wanted to win here in Salem so bad, didn't you, Gary?
You know, Bob, I'll tell you what, I went from a new high bank racer to winning 2 in a row here. After winning Winchester, I knew we could do it here at Salem. Didn't know if we could do it this weekend, but I'll tell you what, I'm just really happy for wins. AC-Delco, that Vortec power ran good all day. My son Jordan, my wife Tracy here with me to celebrate this win. I think justice prevails.
I was going to ask you, obviously, very disappointed last week. It doesn't totally make up for it, but it helps a little bit, Gary, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. You know, we really wanted that win here up there at Berlin, but to come here at Salem and win this Tecumseh 300, you know, it's truly amazing. You know, just a great win for us. Doug Lane up there, Lane Automotive, did a hell of a job spotting. Port City Race Cars with super cars, B.F. Goodrich with the great tires.
How about that call to get you in the lead? You didn't pit. I asked Bill McGowan, was that a mistake? He said, watch it. It's not going to be a mistake, and it wasn't.
Billy McGowan is the king of Salem Speedway. He's got the setup. He told me some things about this place I didn't agree with. He's the man here at Salem Speedway.
So how are we feeling, Tracy?
We are feeling awesome right now. Jordan wanted to be in a picture.
Oh, Gary, you're going to have heck to pay this week. Of course, Jordan right here giving his dad a kiss. Jordan gave his dad a high five as soon as they got into victory lane. Congratulations, Gary St. Amant. A dynamite run for him and the Wynn Chevrolet team today.
Second last week, first this week, the 17th victory of his career and 2nd this year. And he does pick up a $5,000 winner's bonus from Tecumseh for bringing her home at the top of the list, as you see them all. And Tristan Dupuis, we mentioned him in 10th position. Russ Tuttle in the 11th, a good run for him. Then we get into the disappointed neighborhood. Butch Miller on pole is way down there. Also Mike Miller and some others. We'll be back in a moment. The Tecumseh 300 at Salem, Indiana. A maker of small engines like the one that powers that little four-wheeler there down the road at the International Lawn, Garden, and Outdoor Power Equipment Exposition in Louisville, Kentucky. Here at Salem, we have a verdict, and Gary St. Amant is the race winner. 5th leader of the night, and he held on for just over 100 laps. 5 changes, cautions, minimal Buddy Baker for only 40 laps. It can be a lot worse than that here.
Plus a $5,000 bonus from Tecumseh for this win for Gary St. Amant.
And cars on the lead lap at the end. It's usually low at Salem. It was this evening with a half dozen on that lead lap. Let's go back downstairs and Sandy Hanks.
Well, an absolutely brilliant run for Johnny Sauter. Started 15th, slowly, methodically, worked your way up through the pack.
This AP Plasman Chevrolet just won't qualify very good, and you know, this car we had at Nashville qualified 16th with it and won that race, and just won't come in until long runs up. But that GM Vortec motor ran good all night, and these BFG tires are awesome.
We're all watching very closely when you and Clanton were running nose to tail after the history, the problems in the past. What happened there? Did you race clean? What happened?
Yesterday's gone. I mean, that was just a hard night at the racetrack in Berlin, and you know, I forgot it, and I hope he did, and obviously he did. And you know, we just got to keep our main focus here on the big picture, and that's the championship. And I'd like to win another race or two if I can.
Okay, and Joe, I know it was like a poker game for you guys all night. The car, he said, at the end was pretty tight, difficult for him.
Yeah, it's really difficult, but the tires were pretty good, and we abused them pretty hard. But we really came here, and we didn't test, but we came here and worked on our long run program, and it was pretty good, and it showed here at the end.
Okay, that's Joe Shear Jr.'s crew chief. You might as well call these two the dynamic duo. They've done a lot of things right this season. Bob?
Well, this is quite a duo we got here, too. Gary St. Amant, the winner, and Scott Hansen. Scott, how come you let this guy beat you?
I didn't let anybody beat me tonight. He deserved it. He ran a heck of a race. You know, I knew when Gary stayed out, we were planning on staying out, too, and I thought, well, the fox outfoxed us here, and the old racetrack, you know, I lost a little on it. I was way too tight, and 1 and 2, and way too loose in 3 and 4, and Gary had an awesome car. Johnny, all the guys had a good car. You know, I'm just real happy to come home with the way we did. Sears on the car. I want to thank the whole crew for doing what they did for us here, and go on to the next one.
You know, Scott, you came over here and you've been standing up the whole time. Gary Kate got out of the car. He was sitting down. What's with that? Are you tough a customer?
I sat down over there and took a big drink, and
We shook hands on the back stretch there. He had his arm inside the window of my race car. We shook hands.
we did. You know, like I said, Gary he needed this here. You know, he's not run the best here in a long time, and can't be me. You know, I always like to see Gary win races.
That's what ASA is all about. A lot of friends right here on the racetrack.
Yeah, and he looks like he's wrung out, don't you think, Buddy Baker?
I think he's a tough dude.
Yeah, they all are to finish on a night like this. It's hot around these parts. The new points, Johnny Sauter still up in front, with Gary St. Amant now moving into the second position as he moves past Butch Miller, who's sagging a little bit here in the middle of the summer, and the rest of them in the top 10. That is after 13 of 20 races. So we're almost to the stretch run of this 2001 season, and it's going to get more and more exciting with each passing day. We'll be back with more in just a moment.